All right, we are on to lesson 2.2 for Algebra 1. So I hope that everyone has done their warm-up. If not, pause and try it. So negative 7 times a positive 2.8. We're going to take 2.8 times 7, and that comes out to 19.6, but we need a negative sign on it. So make sure you put that negative sign. 0.96 divided by 6 is, if you think about 96 divided by 6, that's 16, but we need a 0.16. Okay, and negative 9 times a negative 9 is a positive 81. 5, 6 times 6 fifths. So these are super easy because we can cancel diagonally only. I saw some people trying to cancel right straight across. It can only be diagonally when there's a multiplication sign in between. And remember, there's all ones left. So 1 times 1 times 1 over 1 times 1. 1 times 1 over 1 times 1 is just 1. Okay, so for this next one, 8/15 times 5/4. I can cancel 5 out of here and 5 out of here. And I can cancel 4 out of here and 4 out of here. So I'm just left with 2/3 times 1 over 1, which is just 2/3. All right, 3/4 times 2.4. I like to turn this into a fraction, which would be 2 4/10, because remember what I talked about with that? So we can then simplify that to 2 5/5. Then I'm going to turn it into a mixed number, so that would be 12/5. So now I can take that 3/4, multiply it by my 12/5. I can cancel a 4 out of here, and I get 9/5. And you can leave it like that, all right? All right, so today we're going to look at solving one-step equations with one variable using multiplication and division. So in the last lesson, it was solving the equation with addition and subtraction. This time it's multiplication and division. So again, if I see multiplication, in order to get rid of it, I have to use division. If I see division, to get rid of it, I have to use multiplication. So I have to use the inverse. So just remember, we are trying to isolate the variable, okay? Get the variable by itself. That is your goal. So look where the variable is. So j divided by 3. Well, what's being done to the variable? It's being divided by 3. So to get rid of it, that means I have to multiply by 3, or 3/1, however you guys want to think of it, so that it cancels. So now I have j on this side, and 8 times negative, or negative 8 times 3 is a negative 24. So to check my answer, I'm going to plug negative 24 in. Negative 24 divided by a positive 3 is a negative 8, so we're good. Okay, same thing here. N divided by 6. So in order to divide by 6, I have to do the opposite, which means what? Ask yourself, what is the opposite? Do I understand what the opposite is? Well, remember, the opposite of dividing by 6 would be to multiply by 6, or you can think of it as 6/1, so that cancels. And then when I multiply, I get 16.8. We should check our answer, so plug 16.8 back in, and we get 2.8 on both sides. You need to ask yourself, do you understand what the opposite is? Meaning the opposite operation. Or in this, you can call it the inverse operation, whatever you want, same thing. Okay, so let's solve these. If I have 9 times y equals 108, well, the thing that's being done to the y is multiplied by 9. So to do the inverse or opposite, I need to divide by 9. So now that cancels, and I get y equals 12. I'm going to plug that back in just to check to make sure I have the right answer. And again, you should check over on the side to make sure that you have the right answer. Did I just mess something up? 10. No, I didn't. I just wrote the wrong thing. So it is 108. That's why it's good to check your answers. All right, so negative 4.8 equals negative 6v. So it's negative 6 times v. So the opposite is to divide by v. Sometimes it helps maybe to write it over on the side. I use little lines when I'm doing my division. Some people like to write it out like that. It should be a negative 6 so that it cancels. So I'm dividing a negative by a negative, so I get a positive answer. Again, I should check my answer. Negative 4.8 equals a negative 4.8, so we are good. Remember that dividing is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So if you're solving equations, you will sometimes find it's easier to multiply by the reciprocal instead of dividing, and that's when we're going to see that with fractions. So let me show you what I mean. All right, so negative 5/6 times w equals negative 20. Well, the inverse operation of multiplying by 5/6 would be to divide by negative 5/6, right? But isn't dividing with a fraction the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal? Well, it is. So we're going to multiply by negative 6/5, the reciprocal, so that that all cancels. Now, it might help to put this over 1 because that 5 goes into that 20 4 times. So I have a negative 4 times a negative 6, which is a positive 24. Again, you should check your answers because that's just always a really good idea. And I think the homework tells you to do it. So 6 goes into here 4 times. Negative 5 times 4 is a negative 20. So we're good. All right, 1/8 times z is equal to 3/16. Well, I would divide usually. I do the inverse. But with fractions, it's easier to multiply by the reciprocal so that I can get rid of everything. And if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. So now I can take away an 8 out of that and take an 8 out of that, and I'm left with 3/2. I'm going to check my answer. 1/8 times 3/2. 3 times 1 is 3. 8 times 2 is 16. We are good to go. Solving another equation. If I'm going too fast, you guys pause it, try it, see if you can get, go from there. And again, I don't expect you to know everything from the video. You're watching the video so you can get an idea. So in class, when you're doing your homework, you can ask questions. All right, so we have 4/6 times j equals 2/3. So to get rid of it, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 6/4. So I have j equals. So I can cancel that 2 out of there, 2 out of there, 3 out of that, and 3 out of that. So I'm left with 2/2, which is just 1 whole. Okay, 2/2 is equal to 1. Well, let's check. If I do 4/6 times 1, is that equal to 2/3? Well, anything times 1 is just itself, right? So the question is, does 4/6 equal 2/3? Well, if I simplify it, it does. So that is correct. J is equal to 1. Okay, lovely word problems that I know you all love. All right, so they're going to put 1/4 of their money that they earn from mowing lawns into a college fund. So this year he's going to put $284 into his college fund. So basically think about that you mowed your lawn, somebody's lawn all summer, you made money from it, and you put 1/4 of it into your college savings account, into your college education fund. So we want to know, though, how much money did this guy earn from mowing lawns total? We know what he put into the account, but we want to know what total he earned. So 1/4 times his earnings is equal to the college fund. Well, we don't know his earnings, so you can call it whatever you want, X. And that is equal to his college fund total, which right now we know is $285. Okay? So we need to figure out, okay, what is X equal to? Well, to find that, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. I go on to the next slide. So we have X 1/4, let me rewrite this, 1/4 x is equal to 285. We're multiplying by the reciprocal. So x will be equal to $1,140. So he earned $1,140 mowing lawns. So a review of what's going on here. So we had the addition property last chapter, which said if we add something to one side, we have to add it to the other. Or not last chapter, last lesson. We also said if we have something subtracted from one side, we also have to subtract it from the other. Now with multiplication, if I multiply one side by something, I have to multiply the same number on the other side. And then also if I divide one side by a number, I have to make sure I divide the other side by the same number, okay? So that's all for this lesson. I think you guys are just going to have to do lots of practice with it. So remember, you're looking for the opposite operation. Opposite operation. So if I'm doing addition, that means I'm going to use subtraction. If I'm using subtraction in the equation, I'm using addition. If I see multiplication in the equation, to get rid of that, I use division. And if I see division in the equation, to get rid of that, I use multiplication. Okay? And that's all.